This is No BS Job Search Advice Radio, episode 1364. I'm your host, Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome. Today is Sunday, and I'm releasing another one of my previous interviews, this one with Ron Nash, who described himself as, I love this term, the LinkedIn Whisperer. It's about out-of-the-box LinkedIn strategies to help you find work. We recorded this about 5 years ago, and most of it's still very good and very useful. Hope you find it helpful. Hope you give it a great review. And although I have information at the end of the show about how to reach out for coaching, I'll just simply say if you're interested in my coaching you and helping you in your search, I'm LinkedIn member 7654 of the more than 500 million people on LinkedIn. I was in the first 10,000. I know the platform very well. And if you'd like my help with LinkedIn, with critiquing your resume and LinkedIn profile, with helping you in any element of your job search, you know, that could be coaching throughout the entire life cycle or in different elements. Connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. And once we're connected, message me that you're interested in some version of coaching or help. We'll schedule a time for a free discovery call. And with that, let's get going.
Hi, this is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and welcome to Job Search Radio on webtalkradio.net. This is a show where I like to spend about a half hour speaking with an expert in some element of job search in order to make things easier for you to find work. And today my guest is Ron Nash, who's the founder of the In Academy, LinkedIn publisher, and he's an Ed2Go author and internationally recognized LinkedIn Whisperer. LinkedIn Whisperer? Since 2005, he specialized in the art and science of LinkedIn career networking. Ron, welcome to Job Search Radio. Great to have you on board.
You know, Jeff, I'm actually extremely happy to be here as well, and especially hanging out with someone like yourself. So thank you for having me on.
My pleasure. Great to have you on board. I've got to start off by asking you, LinkedIn Whisperer, what is that?
You know, it's a handle that I picked up in some of the work that I've done. I've spent a considerable amount of time coaching people, career coaching, life coaching, etc. But one of my friends who works at LinkedIn witnessed me actually literally working with one of their clients that they had asked me to interact with. And at the end of that process, they said, "Hey, Ron, you're like Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer. You work with people in a very different way." And then they realized that I had done some work with Cesar, and the question came up, dog whisperer, LinkedIn whisperer. Would you mind if I call you the LinkedIn whisperer? And somehow or another, that handle stuck from my LinkedIn friends.
It is funny. There's lots of things that people talk about with LinkedIn, but what I'd like to do is start off by talking with you about some of the things people should absolutely do with LinkedIn to create success that very few people talk about.
Well, you know, there's a lot to talk about, and LinkedIn is a huge platform. But in my estimation, the very first thing that I coach people to do is to make sure that they get their online perception together. Now, perception is based on how do you want people to see you. For instance, in any interaction, if I were to go out on a job interview or a meeting, business meeting, I'd want to be dressed appropriately, hair, teeth, makeup, whatever needs to happen there. And LinkedIn is really the predecessor to how people are going to experience you. It's your first impression. And nowadays, things like photos, videos, not only the text background, but people can actually get a real impression as to who you are. So I'm a firm believer that you should, number one, have a professional photo of yourself or something as professional as possible, and especially with today's digital phones, blank background, nice shot with you dressed for success, smiling, something as simple as that to make you look as good as possible, and then onto your professional headline, something that says a lot about you, that engages people, and a well-written summary. Those are the three areas I start off with that are critical before you even start reaching out on LinkedIn.
Okay, so that's in the basic territory. I was asking you for some unusual things, not just simply the standard, because I'm going to speak to you as LinkedIn member 7653 here.
Holy moly, okay. I like it.
So let's go into some of the things that aren't in the standard playbook that every coach talks about. Let's go into some of the unusual areas.
Well, some of the things that's happened right now, LinkedIn's redone its user interface and made it a lot easier. Some of the new things that I'm seeing coming up that are actually very cool is the use of video. So right now, I actually use video on my profile, and I also work with people to help them to use video. It's an area where if you have a 1 to 2 minute video that stages yourself, your expertise, your passion, it really brings your profile to life. Now, I'm also a firm believer that in this day and age, there's a lot of transition. I wouldn't want to put a video up representing me or my brand or my job search, my background, unless it was well done. So I would recommend the use of video, maybe standing in front of a camera, once again, nothing distracting in the background, and going through a list of 5 to 10 questions that really stage your candidacy in a way that allows people to see how you interact as a person. One of the critical things...
So when you're talking about staging the candidacy,
yes.
Pretend you're in a professional field of some sort, programmer, engineer, project manager. Give me a sense of what they might talk about in that staged presentation.
So in essence, it would really be a simple idea. Hi, my name is Ron Nash, and I am a software engineer. Now, the reason I've chosen to do the video is just to share a little bit of who I really am with you. I'm passionate about rock climbing and outdoor sports, and more importantly, I'm a very big a proponent of team playing, and my expertise is in such. I'm looking to work with a company that really values people like myself who contribute from coding based on XXX and XXX, and I would love the opportunity to interact or maybe speak with you on the phone.
Beautiful. And folks, if you didn't notice that, Ron used between 30 and 45 seconds tops to lay out some basic things about his experience. And you can do the same thing too. Again, should be well done, doesn't have to be perfect, but it just needs to be a good representation of you. Thank you. It was a good performance on your part.
Thank you. Thank you. And, let me just add to that once again, with iPads, iPhones, Androids, etc., to be able to do something and edit it in iMovie, super simple, but once again, putting your best foot forward is critical.
Agreed. So you've spoken about including video, and what else can they do?
You know what? I would actually say from a profile perspective, I am a proponent. One of the things that happens in this new world of social media is we get lost. I am a proponent of joining groups and adding likes to discussions and commenting on discussions. Now,
interesting. So why should folks join groups?
Well, once again, software background, groups have a lot of benefits to them. They allow you to participate in a community of people, from people that are like-minded individuals, hiring managers, recruiters and headhunters who look in groups for people with specific talents. You can find a group that specializes in exactly what it is that you do, and many times a group will have job postings that are only going to be found in that group.
Not only that, it becomes an easier way to connect with someone so that you can maximize your network tremendously. So, for example, if someone is part of a group that you're a member of, when it comes time to connect, they're a group connection, and you're able to connect with them by using a drop-down on that connection request screen and reference that group as the basis for why they should connect with you, so that you're not an absolute stranger when you reach out to them.
Interestingly enough, is some of the things that are very important to me is in human behavior, we tend to like to interact with people we have something in common with. A group provides a platform for you to have something in common. In addition, when someone in their LinkedIn profile, as we're talking about some of the other things people might want to do, you're in a group, you see a discussion that's relevant to software engineering. It's posted by a decision maker, a hiring manager, or just a peer. You read the dialogue, and then you like the dialogue, which brings you into the actual feed of comments. Sometimes feeds can actually be very active. It also allows you to, when you discuss or add a comment to that discussion, it brings you into the awareness of the groups. And you know the old adage, out of sight, out of mind.
So true. And since what you're trying to do with LinkedIn is build a personal brand for yourself where you're being seen as an expert, participating in groups goes a long way toward doing that, because people will see you as being knowledgeable in this particular area, and they'll be able to connect that at the times that they're trying to hire. Nice tip, Ron.
Absolutely.
So I also heard you talk about likes to discussions. How does that benefit the job hunter in there?
Well, once again, strategy out of sight, out of mind. What ends up happening, number one, there's a lot of really good information being shared in groups. So, number one, you may pick up some information that's relevant to what you're doing, your expertise, your job search, etc. Groups are comprised of a lot of different types of people. You may get a lead. But number two, it allows you to participate in a large group of people, and it brings you to their awareness, almost like a Facebook post. Typically, when someone posts something on Facebook, it creates big news feed, and then a lot of people discuss in on it, and you start seeing different interactions. It allows you to play a part of a live conversation, create awareness to yourself. We tend to, when we see people participating, look at them. It may spawn a decision maker or a recruiter to look closer at your profile. And at that juncture now, I've just gotten through looking at your professional resume, in essence, because I clicked on your profile. So it's really about creating awareness to your personal brand, as you stated earlier.
Thank you. This is Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and you're listening to Job Search Radio on webtalkradio.net. We'll be back in a minute with more from Ron, but I first wanted to talk with you about my Job Search Insider tip. Now, this is an awkward one for me to do, and I want to start by saying this has nothing to do with LinkedIn, has nothing to do with resumes, has nothing to do with interviewing. This is one of those personal tips that's hard to deliver but important to deliver. And it stems from an article I read in the Washington Post today about how there is a tendency for job hunters to put on weight while they're in job search mode. And this is not just simply for unemployed people, but it's for the employed as well. This is one of those touchy subjects, and I want to be clear, this is not just simply a conversation for men. It is a reminder for women as well. You may be feeling more anxious, and it's perfectly natural to feel more anxious during times when you're looking for work. And the more weight you put on, the less well you look in your wardrobe when it comes time for firms to meet with you. You may do a great job in your phone interviews, and you may become justifiably self-conscious when you put on that suit for the in-person interview and discover that, first of all, your shirt doesn't quite fit you or your blouse doesn't quite fit you properly, and the suit's a little tight on you. So don't allow yourself to fall victim to your own anxiety. Take care of your health, take care of your weight, and don't put on pounds during this time of job search. So that's my tip for this time. Let's come back to Ron Nash. And we've been talking about profiles and groups so far. Now, I really want to get to the mobile area because I know LinkedIn has some great mobile apps that help job hunters. And do you prefer the traditional LinkedIn app or LinkedIn contacts for job hunters, or both?
Both. So And needless to say is I've gone to I have an Android, and for the mobile applications, I have it on my iPad. I got it on my Android. They make it super easy for you to download any information from Pulse to whatever's going on. So from the job search perspective, critical.
I'm going to back you up for a second. Tell people what Pulse is.
Oh, I'm sorry. LinkedIn Pulse is really the news feed. It's really your ability to choose any type of news from a news source like the Wall Street Journal or the Washington Post or any news source that you choose to, as well as from a follower, Richard Branson, Ron Nash, Jeff Altman, anyone who's actually on the LinkedIn platform. And you can follow information from people like myself who publish information specifically about job search and, or the mechanics of how to manage what you're feeling. So Pulse allows you to congregate, it's a congregation of news feeds, and you can select the news that you specifically want fed into your LinkedIn profile or to your mobile device.
And that's available through the traditional LinkedIn app, available for all these devices, right?
Absolutely, and it's free.
Great. And what other sorts of functionality does that app have? LinkedIn Mobile in general allows you to kind of be in contact with your LinkedIn profile and all of your connections, as well as your news feed. So as a job seeker, one of the important things that has to happen is that you have to know when things are happening and be able to respond to them effectively. So in the 21st century, on your LinkedIn, let's say LinkedIn, you get a job lead from a headhunter or someone's looking for you. In the traditional world, maybe you're out and about prospecting, interviewing, doing something else, taking a walk, getting your personality under control, and your email box is blowing up with people trying to find you. Well, LinkedIn has made the mobile application so that you can be in contact right from your mobile device, your smartphone, at any juncture. So now Ron Nash, the headhunter, found me on LinkedIn, and he wants to reach me because he's got a hot opportunity that matches my profile. Instead of having to wait until I get home to check my email, it's going to, my mobile app is going to allow me to know what's going on instantaneously so that I can respond and react to that messaging. Interesting. And how does Contacts work as opposed to the traditional mobile app?
So your contacts are absolutely, it's part of your network, and the LinkedIn contacts actually really allows you to be directly plugged into your network more specifically.
And be able to message them, I presume, as well.
That's, the way that this whole messaging deal works with LinkedIn is I have a fairly vast database of people, and actually nearing several thousand of them. The data is useless unless I'm able to really reach out to my network and communicate with them. And so I'm a firm believer in using contacts, LinkedIn.com, etc., to have the ability to one-on-one go, okay, Mr. Altman, this is Ron Nash. I understand you're connected to this person. Would you be open to introducing me, or etc.? So contacts allows me to be in direct contact with my network or my address book, which is where my power is.
And I believe one of the things it also does, which I happen to really like, is when you first connect at the beginning of a day, it will let you know about people who've changed jobs or people who have birthdays. Kind of like Facebook notifies you about the birthdays. That allows you to, number one, know if someone in your network has changed jobs to one of your target organizations. And number two is part of building a relationship is those legendary happy birthdays that help Facebook really develop and people develop relationships with one another.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you just hit an interesting point. So LinkedIn is really about relationships. Contacts actually, because it focuses in on one area of the LinkedIn.com. See, the desktop version is the full-blown version. So, for instance, if Jeff, you and I being in contact, it takes that aspect of our contacts, and the mobile app allows you to do things like birthdays. You can see when people have job changes. It will also note our last conversation. So if I send an email to you regarding something, contacts will allow me to see what our last conversation was via the email, also how and when we met, and any shared connections we may have. I may want to bring up the fact that I'm attempting to have a meeting with X software company, and I see that you have a connection in common. So Contacts really brings a piece of the LinkedIn.com app into specific focus on your mobile device that allows you to really be in contact with other people, but see it visually on your mobile app or on your mobile phone.
Beautiful. And thus for all of you, if you don't have the mobile apps, so that's LinkedIn itself and LinkedIn Contacts, you ought to download them and just start experimenting with them. I think you'll find they're great tools, especially if you're a commuter. Lord knows there's dead time in your hands, and yes, you might want to chat with the people that you're on the train or the bus with, but there are going to be mornings where you can spend time on your phone making connections with people that'll be helpful for you professionally, because you shouldn't, as so many of my guests keep saying time and again, you shouldn't only be doing things to find work or build your network at times of crisis. You need to be doing things proactively so that your network is in place. So using the app makes it so easy for you to do that.
It gives you
what other sorts of things? I'm sorry.
And so just to kind of highlight what you just said, one of the critical pieces about networking, especially in times of crisis, when, obviously economic crisis comes out of crisis, but one of the most important activities is building relationships. And Mr. Altman, you already know that many opportunities are found not in obvious places, but in networking. So LinkedIn gives you the ability to actively participate and grow your network so that you can hear about opportunities sometimes before or right as they occur. And that's a critical activity that job seekers must spend time doing versus being reactionary.
And when you're speaking about hearing about opportunities, I know you're not just simply speaking of responding to the ads that LinkedIn sells, but putting yourself in the position to be found by people on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. I am a fan, and I've made a living for many years as a headhunter, and a lot of the opportunities that I've come across on a regular basis have never been posted to the world, and the need showed up, or on a day when someone has decided that they're going to go on maternity leave and the need came up. So it can be a number of different things that starts the ability for someone to create an opportunity. The only way that we can find out about those opportunities is to be actively networked into our network and to grow our network intelligently. Once again, I use a software analogy. People that are in your industry, some people are sitting at their desk. A headhunter may call them looking for someone just like you. They're gainfully employed, but unless they know that you're looking or unless you were in contact with them recently, they may not be able to refer that job to you. But then again, if you're using contacts or any of the strategies that we talk about, they'll know, oh my goodness, Ron just talked to me the other day about this opportunity. I'm going to forward this headhunter to him. So you have to be actively engaged in the process of networking to help you reach those opportunities that you'd never know about.
So how do you as a headhunter tend to use LinkedIn, or how have you used LinkedIn to find people? And how do your corporate clients tend to use it to find people?
And that's actually a very good question. One of my interactions, and I've worked on both sides. I've done some corporate recruiting using the LinkedIn Recruiter platform, and obviously as an agency recruiter. And two of the styles are similar, but a lot of the corporate recruiters, they pay a lot of money for the resources to use LinkedIn. LinkedIn gives them access to the database, and so on a daily basis, that's one of LinkedIn's huge businesses is the corporate recruiting model. Recruiters sitting at their desk, they have jobs that are based on keywords inside of their system, and they're scouring through LinkedIn using keyword searches to find people. Now, From the third-party recruiting perspective, just as I use it as well, I look for keywords that help to identify people based on things that I'm looking for. LinkedIn also gives you the ability to see other candidates who are similar, so it really is an aggregate of information. Now, you must have the proper keywords in your profile to be found.
No ifs, ands, buts about it, folks. They've got to be there. And we're not talking about the tertiary keywords, unless there tends to be a combination of terms that people would tend to look for in order to find someone specifically like you. I know one of the things I loathe is when I do LinkedIn searches, and I'm finding people who, they've got this enormous list of technology skills or things that they may have done 25 years ago that have no real relevance anymore. It just wastes my time. So without question, specifically for the most recent roles in particular, you need to go into some depth with what you've done, how you went about doing it, getting those keywords in order to ensure that you can be found.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And thus it brings me to the next question. So you're a recruiter, you're reaching out using keywords, you send an in-mail, or you may decide to call that person directly because you know what firm they work for, right? So how frequently should someone log on to LinkedIn if they're looking for work?
You brought two different thoughts in mind, and I want to tie the conversation, the questions in the past. Number one, if they have a mobile app, they should be logged in every day, no doubt about it. And that mobile app can run in the background to alert you, so that's one of the tricks. Ron Nash has a position. I just found you in my string. I sent you an in-mail. The amount of time that it takes you to get back to me, I could have found 10 other candidates, and quite honestly, based on the headhunter in me, I am going to fill that position with the most proactive, perfect person who responds the fastest so that I can get them in front of my client as quickly as possible. Number two, you asked earlier on what types of things should people have in their profile. Okay, here's low-hanging fruit, and everybody knows this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Your contact information should be in your summary, a way for me to reach you, because if you look wonderful and it's hard for me to find you via email, etc., I am going to probably surpass you at some point, so make it easy for me to find you.
I know for me, I have my name, my company name, my email address, and website address in my summary. This way someone can just message me as soon as they discover me without having to go through the connection request or without having to figure out what my email address is.
We want to save time in the process, once again, when we're proactively looking and we're motivated, whether it's priced or not. Our level of motivation, we want to connect the dots with straight lines to the best of our ability and take down any barriers of someone discovering us by making it easy for them. Another important thing, kind of pursuant to this conversation, is make sure that you have an email address that you're going to use for the rest of your career. Had people change email addresses, and if the information's not up to date, then I have a hard time finding you, and you may be missing out on opportunities. So I'm a fan of using things like Gmail or Hotmail or whatever it is that are probably going to be around a lot longer than myself, but have a specific email that you use, that you check regularly, that's used for your LinkedIn profile so that it can feed you information coming from LinkedIn.
One of the worst things I find, and it happens way too often, is someone changes jobs. They forget to change their email address. I'm sending them a message, and it bounces.
Mm-hmm.
All that effort to try and build up a network, and it's not just me, of course. It's all those other people that you've networked with, and no one can reach you until you suddenly go, oh, crap, I forgot to. And it may take quite some time, and you lose all that goodwill that you've built up. So Ron's suggestion about using a personal email address, for for LinkedIn is a really good one. Now, here's the other side of that question. We've been talking about the active job hunter. What about the inactive one, the passive job hunter, the one who isn't looking aggressively now? Do you think they should log in daily too?
That's actually a really good question, and a couple things come to mind. Number one, if you're not aggressively looking, you don't have to aggressively do the behaviors of networking. However, I still think people should log into their LinkedIn account once a day, minimum a few times per week, because here's the important thing. Once you opt in and create a network and, maybe you've gotten some help from your network, there are people in your network who may need your help connecting them with other people as well, asking for advice, etc. So I believe of the mindset of reciprocation. It's one thing when you need something, like, hey, I need something, I need your help. But once that's fulfilled, and maybe you're not even in that place, but once you have a network, reciprocation is critically important. So you may just approach it differently. You check in your network, once a day, whatever the interval is during a day, just to make sure that there's no one in sending you something that where they really require your help. So I think that we should all serve our network kind of in a giving way based on reciprocation.
We've all heard the expression, give more, get more. Mm-hmm. And that's true when you're actively looking for work. And as you said so well, it's very important after you've found your next position to help others who are now in the position that you were in. You have experiences that will be very helpful to them. And when all is said and done, it will benefit you by helping them. Very nice, Ron. Is there any last tip, because we're coming up on the end of our time with one another, any last tip that you want to share with my listeners?
I would say that I heard you talking about something that I think is critically important. Other than the activity of, the mechanics of using LinkedIn, using the mobile app, what goes in your profile, keywords, etc., the psychological aspects of job change and the stress, I am a proponent. Part of my work goes to making sure that our mental preparedness is there. And, I'm human also. I remember I woke up not long ago with lots of things going on, and my stresses were over the top, and it was one of those things that I had a hard time bringing back in. So I instantly know that when you change your physiology, you change how you feel. So I jumped on my bike, and I went for an aggressive ride for about an hour and a half up this hill that I've been looking to get up for a long time. And by the time I came back down that hill, the stress, which is really energy, it's misdirected energy, was now directed energy, and I felt powerful. I was like, let me at him. I'm ready to go. So that's one of the aspects of job search at any juncture creates a certain amount of stress for many of us, and directing the energy, making sure we take control is critical in the process.
And doing that with LinkedIn, there's just so many different ways where we can take control and direct it in purposeful ways. LinkedIn is just such a great tool. I was so happy to get on the bandwagon early with it.
Yeah,
Ron, thank you so much for making time for the audience. Now, you are involved with a service called Ed2Go, as I recall. Tell my listeners about that, please.
Ed2Go is an academic publisher. It's the online division for a group called Cengage Learning, one of the largest publishers in the world. And I've had the pleasure of joining up with them to create a course I call Jumpstart Your Career with LinkedIn. And the course isn't just a LinkedIn course. I mean, it always anchors back into LinkedIn, LinkedIn Mobile, LinkedIn Resume Builder. Interestingly enough, is LinkedIn also creates resumes for you. A lot of people don't know. But it's really a career coaching course that takes anyone through the process of understanding how to leverage the tool, build relationships, make cold calls, send you thank you letters, really leveraging the tool of building relationships and networking with other individuals. And so the course is a 6-week 12-lesson-long course, and it took me over a year and a half to build, and it was launched not long ago. We're starting to get lots of great responses from it.
What's the site address for the course?
The course is called Jumpstart Your Career with LinkedIn, so I thought it'd be easy to just say Jumpstart Your Career with LinkedIn.com.
Hey, I can remember that one.
Super easy.
Yes, it is. Ron, thank you so much.
So that's today's show. I hope you found it helpful, and if you did, here are a few ways to get even more from me. First of all, visit my website, www.thebiggamehunter.us. I have several thousand blog posts there that you can watch, listen to, or read to help you find your next job. If you want the best of my advice, join JobSearchCoachingHQ.com, where I've curated my information with a focus on interviewing. If you have a few questions, contact me through the Magnify app for iOS. That's Magnify with an I at the end, or PrestoExperts.com, where you can call me. Schedule a specific time with me through chat on Magnify or by connecting with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/The Big Game Hunter. Once we're connected on LinkedIn, you can message me about coaching you, speaking with me about a resume or LinkedIn profile critique, help with a salary negotiation, my trusted advisor services, as well as scheduling me for Magnify or for PrestoExperts.com. Like you, I don't work for free. You can also take my classes on Skillshare and become a premium member using the link in the show notes and receive 2 months for free instead of just the one that the site offers. Skillshare offers thousands of courses, not just simply mine. It is a great resource in a variety of different areas. Subscribe to my other podcast, which is called Job Search Radio. This one is number 1 in Apple Podcasts. Job Search Radio is number 2. Subscribe to both. You will get great information 7 days a week from this show, 6 days a week from the other. Lastly, I want to encourage you to join my group on Facebook called Career Angles. It's free to the first 500 people who join and is focused on helping you do better at work. Information is shared daily, and we're building a supportive group there to provide advice and counsel during difficult times. Again, the group on Facebook is called Career Angles. I'll be back tomorrow with more. In the meantime, have a great day. Be great!
And now, an ad from Dad.
All right, save money on car insurance when you bundle home and auto with Progressive. Can I take these off? All right. What is this? This looks good. Wow, that's well made. Where did you get this? I'm talking to you with the hair. Yeah, where did you get this? It's good stuff. That's solid. That's not veneer, that's solid stuff.
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home and auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Hi, I'm Taraji P. Henson. In my new movie, What Men Want, I can hear men's thoughts.
On February 6th, catch a special Girls' Night Out screening of the movie critics are calling outrageously funny. Nice. The must-see comedy.
I wouldn't miss it for the world. Amazing!
Taraji P. Henson, Tracy Morgan.
If you only knew what I was thinking right now.
Trust me, we don't want to know.
What Men Want. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parents. Girls' Night Out screenings Wednesday, February 6th. In theaters everywhere, February 8th.